club in a casino in Huddersfield. Just check to see if it's recording. Thank God it is. And this was a big tournament for my rapid grade because rapid blade tournament number 1 was Stockport, and I got 3.5 out of 6 in the major, which, although that's really good, it wasn't my first win. Was like a bye, it was, and although I beat like 1.5 out of 2 against 2 strong players from my own club, I actually lost the points somehow, which was pretty incredible. And then my next one at Leyland was an absolute complete disaster. It was under 180, so it was quite hard, and I was 153, but I got 1 out of 6 because I stayed up far too late the previous night, and I got mashed up in several games as well until I played around my strength. It was pretty awful. And then the next tournament was on course to be a good one, where I had a good win in round 1, and then I faced this ungraded called Lee K. He'd been like 190, and I was actually beating him. I was massive ahead on time, and I was a pawn up at an end game, but I somehow blundered like on my pawns with one move, and he also managed to checkmate me with the little time he had left, which was frustrating. And then I won the next 2, including one in about 10 minutes, and then I also beat Kevin Winter as well in round 4. He was a very strong player as well, and massive hacker. I had like a massive hacker up, but then I petered out with a couple of bad losses, and I only got 3 out of 6 and lost even more points. But then at Manchester, I got 4.5 out of 6, and I was on course to win it at one point. I was on 3 out of 3, and I beat an ungraded who'd been 178 with a nice hook and ladder trick. And things were looking good. But then I was able to draw in round 4, and then I had to play this ungraded he'd been 2200 FIDE, and it was over 190 as well. And he somehow snuck into the section because he was a very slow player, so he probably wasn't as good at rapid. And I needed a result against him to stay run for prizes despite being on 3.5, and I think I messed up a draw night end game, and he just torched me for about 100 plus moves, and the game went on quite a long tournament, and eventually lost. And then I had a really good win over my bogey opponent Rob Tokesley in round 6, but wasn't enough, and I was half a point off joint first and got nothing because 3 people got it. The next tournament was the mega final, which although it isn't graded this, so it doesn't count, but I got 5.5 out of 6. And drew against 178. It was my only draw, and I won the combined under 16, 17, and 18 section. And but going to this tournament, I was probably on course to lose a few points, but it was a good chance to get points because it was actually an open. I mean, there was some like low rated like 120s, 130s, but the majority of players were like 160 plus, and there was grandmasters in. I think the same section as players like Matt Hebden. And I got the most incredibly toughest draw ever. I'm going to show you on this video all the games. I've already shown one of them as like a separate video because I couldn't resist. But let's follow my progress. So round 1 I was playing against Jim Nicholson, 187 ECF, and he is a very strong player. I knew I'd have to be top of my game, and I'd recently started playing E4, and now it was a chance. So I played E4, you play the Scandinavian, takes, queen takes, knight C3. These videos are going to be more just an overview than detailed analysis. You now played the queen D6 line, which is becoming more like popular these days. And I had a line against it though, where you're feeling shit out to get in the tempo with like, it guards bishop F4, so you get a tempo on queen, and you also get a solid position. So after D4, so these moves. G3, now bishop G4. That's when they go G3, you go bishop G4 usually. After bishop G2, E6, and after you hit the queen, there's a line I think where you can try and go pawn grabbing with queen B4. Let's have a look at that. You're trying to get the B2 pawn, and I think white usually gambits with queen D2. And it's unsafe to take in this position. You use rook B1. So that's no good. But I think black usually takes on F3, takes, and then he plays bishop D6 with, I think white's slightly better, but it's an interesting position. It really just retreats back to his start square, and I castled. And white's got a comfortable position here, and I knew I wouldn't be getting smashed. I played bishop D6, and I didn't play the best move here, but I was out of book by this point, as well out of book. I think you're supposed to play bishop E5 is best. Then takes, queens come off. And there's a knight D5. And white's space advantage should get him a small advantage. But I just took off, allowing his queen to develop, and played queen d3, and it's about equal now. Now he played bishop takes f3, which is although it's a typical move in this line, trying to pressure d4. It looks a little bit controversial given the bishop pair up, in my opinion. I took back, and then he played knight bd7, and black's got a very solid position, but it's not one you want to have against a 153 when you're 187, because there isn't very much chances of winning. And in fact, I decided to try and get the initiative and played b4, very aggressive move, which discourages his queenside castle, which I thought he might be planning, and then throwing the kingside pawns at me to try and hack the law rated up. The pawn obviously is unsafe to take because of rook b1 takes b7, and I'm trying to undermine the c6 point. So he stops that with a6. I supported it with a3 in case he's hanging in future, and then he played. I think he initiative move here actually is h5, and then trying to get h4, and then maybe he can try and leave his king centre with king e7. You know, some kind of like hack attack, because it justifies his queen's position and on the diagonal. So maybe that could be quite interesting. Just rip up the h file and then try and castle queen side, but his king will be weak there. Some weakened dark squares around his king. He played knight b6, just aiming to blockade on d5. I played knight e4, a good move, hitting the queen and practically forcing a swap. And then he played rook d8, and now his plan's just going to be to pressurise d4. So c3 in this position looks logical. And then he could go f5, interesting move, retreat back to g2, and castle f4, knight, then bring the knight into d5 perhaps when it'll let me. Whoops, just crashed then, obviously I won't play that move. And that's white's bishop isn't great in my opinion, but white does have a bit more space, so about equal. I played rook a d1 because I thought it's better to support the pawn with pieces and then try and play the aggressive move c4. He played g6, which stops me taking an h7, and then I played c4, which as you can probably see threatens a fork. So he moves out of the way with queen c7. And then I play rook fe1, putting my rook on the same file as his king, so he logically castles out of the way. Otherwise I'm threatening like the typical breakthrough with d5 because of his exposed king position I could be. And I was quite happy at this point, but I was a bit worried about my d4 pawn becoming weak, and also my queen's on the same file as his rook. I actually retreat my bishop back to g2, which is a very good move, gets out of the way of any potential f-pawn hacks for f5, f4, and my king's now very safe. And I have quite a good centre, but again I can't get my d5 breakthrough. And now he plays rook d7. I'm sure you know what his plan's going to be, just to pile up on d4 and reduce me to passivity. And I got my queen off the file, and I worked out that knight a4 is pretty harmless. He played rook fd8 as expected, and now there's so much pressure on this pawn, it is almost unbearable. But it's pretty easy to defend. In fact, I decided to try and get my own initiative with f4. Potentially maybe hack attacks, because there's some weak dark squares around his king are pretty weak. He played knight a4, queen b3, and now b5 supported the knight. And now I had a bit of a think and decided I'll play the typical liberating thrust d5, which actually isn't very good and gives black the advantage. I just thought it gets rid of weaknesses, but it could actually have maybe punished me for this. So he takes in d5, I take it back, and in the game he played c5, which is not good enough for an advantage. The correct move was to take again. I would play rook takes d5 and then this sneaky check, take advantage of f4. King moves, and then he can actually, if king moves there, he can actually play queen f2, which is a very annoying move. And black has got some dangerous activity now, but the game is now wide open. Now he played c5. Now I played rook e5, which is a good centralising move, preparing to double an e file, defending my d pawn. And now he played a good move as well. He played c4, which gets him a protected pass pawn with tempo. See, I've got to be careful of this pawn ever trying to queen. And now I played queen back to c2. He played knight b6, recycling his offside knight back into the game. and trying to get the superior minor piece, because his bishop is quite strong on the diagonal. I played queen e4, another good centralising move, and now I think he missed a good chance here to try and run with his pawn, and the engine seems to back me up. And then if say rook e8 like in the game, takes, king e7, and now his pawn's actually quite hard to stop, because the move I played in the game in this position, queen e5 check, doesn't seem as strong. If I ever play queen e5 like I did in the game, he can just take and then just play c2. Or in fact, sorry, knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, c2, c1, takes, and blacks a pawn up and can torture him in this endgame. So he misses a good chance though. Instead play this passive move, knight c8, which prepares to blockade my passed pawn with that manoeuvre, but I check, comes off, king g7, and now I played, and now actually I had to think and worked some out, and actually played a very strong move in this position. I thought that queen e5 check straight away, that you can play, I think it was f6 or something. Yeah, you can play f6 in this position, which looks quite good for black, but I played the move bishop h3, which forces him to play f5, thus taking away the f6 option, because of course I'll just win a piece otherwise. In fact, so it's wrong. Well, it provokes f5 anyway, which he played. He could also have played rook d8, and then I check on e5 again. But anyway, this move provoked f5, which he played thankfully, and now I played check. And in fact, I thought that taking his queen would actually be really bad for him, because if he plays queen takes, f takes, I thought they're going to be really strong, but but it's actually only by equal-less. So he could have gone for this to try and play for a win, but instead he accepted the perpetual. We had a draw by perpetual in the end. Because if he's like this, then we agree to draw. Because if he's say he's king strays out to if his king strays out to h6 at any point, then I can actually, although it's not bad for black, I can make it really awkward with a move like g4, just rip it, trying to rip lines open, and his king could be in the firing line there. But anyway, that was a very good result to start off, and draw for 187. But now, of course, I face Mike Surtees in the next round, and I will put the video I did in that game as like a video response, so please check that out for the next round. I'm afraid though I'll have to like give my result away for that game, otherwise this video won't work, and I actually miraculously won the game. So I beat 193. So we'll just save this. Okay, next game was against, I was on 1.5 out of 2 in almost hardest tournaments ever, so I got 201 ECF Peter Shaw, so what a fun end here. I was white and I'd been told before the game that he plays the Caracan, so after e4, sure enough I got d6 playing instead of c6, which I was quite happy to see, because I do not rate the perk very much. I played d4, knight f6, knight c3 and c6, and I was practically out of book at this point already. Now of course he's trying to aim for rapid queenside expansion, but the move he actually played is after bishop e3, he tries to take advantage of that move directly with the greedy looking move queen b6, hitting the b2 pawn. And it doesn't take much of a look at the position to realise that this pawn is very awkward to defend. However, I remember seeing the Brandon Clark video on the game in this line, and I couldn't remember whether it's b3 or rook b1 or to offer a gambit. I didn't like the look of offering a gambit because I thought a solid 201 player would just easily consolidate it and exploit the pawn up. I thought my best chance is just to protect it. And the idea of the line is that, well, I didn't play rook b1, which is best, but after rook b1 you play knight g4 harassing the bishop. And there's an interesting line which I actually played something similar to in the game, where you actually let him take the important dark square bishop, but you get like f-file pressure and stronger centre, and you get a massive development lead. So I played the hot awful move b3, and I thought he could have played So instead of knight g4, he could have played queen a5, which hits the knight and threatens knight takes c4. Now I've had to go back to d2, which is a bit awkward. Then maybe hit move something like e5. But he played knight g4, and I decided rather than playing something like bishop g5, I'll play bishop c4. A very double-edged move, and it's best when you're playing at someone a lot higher rate to create complications, because of course it's going to be a very unbalanced game now. After knight takes f3, f takes e3, and now I'm going to highlight our trump cards. You see, I can build up maybe dangerous pressure on f7 at some point. I've also got a big development lead because of black bringing his queen out early, but black does have the bishop pair in quite an open position. I do have weak pawns, so it's very double-edged. He played e6, blunting the pressure on f7. I played knight g2, and then he played d5. Another pawn move. I shot the bishop back, he took. Knight takes, and knight d7. Now I decided I need to be fast here. I was just going to be out of a better position, so I castled. And now to bishop e7, I decided to try and go for him with knight f4, which is quite a good move. And now he had a very long think. He fought for over 5 minutes here in a rapid game, because he looks like he's in a bit of trouble. With all my pieces dangerously aimed at his king, and his c8 bishop's completely locked out. And the best move is actually the horrible looking move g6. And now given best is bishop c4. Maybe pairing like a second e6 or something. And white I think is a little bit better. But he played knight f6. A very double-edged but not very sound move. I took an f6, which is good, but better is actually knight h5 is very strong. And in fact I'm threatening knight takes g7 check. If he plays knight takes h5, I play queen takes h5, g6 and queen e5, and white is practically winning already, because the best is just to castle and then you go check, bishop takes, rook takes, and white can get a crushing attack here, and black's lost his bishop pair and his other bishop's hopelessly out of the game, and he's very undeveloped, and white can just bring his other rook to f1 and then put everything on the f file and then maybe throw the h pawn with a winning attack. So better is actually just to play knight takes e4, allowing knight takes g7 check, king f8, bishop takes e4. Oops, that's wrong. Obviously not that. So you play queen h5, because of course now we're playing mate in f7. If the knight goes back, then we go queen h6, the only move to keep an advantage. For all these nasty discoveries, and black has to play knight g8, and then we have takes, king e8, and then queen g7, bishop takes e6, queen takes h8, and white has a rook and 2 pawns for a bishop and knight, which is a slight material advantage, and more importantly black's king's displaced as well, so white's definitely a lot better. So knight h5 was a good opportunity missed, but this move is quite good, and then he has to play g takes f6, which now he was trying to hack me up here I think, because now we've got this pressure. But now I play knight h5, but it's not as good in this position, because now he had the brilliant response, on the good response f5, liberating his bishop. But I can force him to give up castling. I played knight g7 check, king d8. I think king f8 was better. And now I went queen h5, and again white is better. Although the pawn and grab attempts, which I actually did in the end, are actually very risky. In fact, because he played rook f8, and now I actually went ahead after a few minutes before I grabbed the h7 pawn. Thought why not? We live in a world of why not. It's quite risky, but it's quite sound as well. But maybe better was, and he said after the game that if g4 was better, trying to rip open lines rather than trying to take it. And I did look at g4, but I didn't like look of exposing my king badly as well, especially with his rookies able to come to g file pretty easily. I just grabbed the bait, and now he played bishop d7. So his plan's just to move his king away and then brings both his rooks to harass my queen and knight, because a lot of my pawn, all my pieces are very awkwardly placed. So I decided to try and consolidate the pawn with queen h3. Moved his king to c7. Now I played queen f3, which maybe is a bit of a waste of time. But I was trying to get c4 and d5 and try and hit his king with his new spot as well. Because I've put him under a bit of an onslaught this game. And I wanted to like keep the onslaught going. Because at the end, although I've won a pawn now, he does have his raking bishops, potential dangerous pressure towards my king. He played rook h8. Black's definitely come back into the game now. I went c4, and now I thought I'm really surprised he didn't play c5. I thought I'd definitely have seen that. Which blocks me any c5s off, and there's also that diagonal for his bishop. Whoops, that was kind of messed up. Which against tempo on my queen, I have to play d5. Oops, definitely not that move. So I have to play like d5, and then you can bring his old bishop. You can actually play bishop f6, which wins an exchange. Knight h5 takes. But this is only a bit better for black now because that bishop was very important. But that's an interesting line that could have occurred. So anyway, thankfully he didn't play that move, which is a very good move, but it was a rapid play. I'm sure they've seen it in long, because he's like 201 ECF. He just continued with his initiative with rook a8, a bit routine. I brought the knight back to h5. Now he played king b8, so he's consolidated his king position after it. He's very loose in the opening. And now which prepares like a pawn attack on the queen side, aiming at the c6 point, but also stops any c5s by him and kicks his queen away. Still I played knight f4, trying to bring the knight back into the game, and now he brought his queen back to d8. And now you can see what's going to happen. He's going to move his bishop and then bring his queen into h4, and all his heavy pieces are going to be bearing down at my king, which they're all half open files aimed at my king. But I didn't see maybe trying to get my own attack in. And at this point I was thinking, okay, this is a brilliant tournament. I've joined against a 187, I've beaten a 193, and now I'm giving someone over 200 in a really good game. And then we played bishop d6. Again, I didn't see the danger. I went c5, bishop c7, and then I realised, oh no, he's going to come his queen to h4 and mash me up. I've got to do something fast. Now I decided on a defensive strategy, which is actually the best one, where I play g3, and although it doesn't stop queen h4, which was played, I can now slot my queen on g2, and it's going to be hard to get mated now because my queen's like covering all the weak squares around my king. So I was quite happy with this, and I still have distant dreams of exploiting my pawn advantage. So of course he's going to keep up the pressure. He played queen h6. Of course I was threatening to take it. I decided to make the most of my spur move with b4, another very good decision. He played f6. So he's going to try and play e5 and then maybe sack on g3 or something and turn me to shreds. But now again I find another e4. Doesn't stop it, but it makes it less effective. Because his pin. Now he played e5 anyway, which is not best. So I took the rook, and now there's where the game starts to get really funny. I should have played rook takes g8, and now what to play now? D takes, f takes. Now you don't move the knight, but you play. If you do, you play knight d3. Queen takes. Ooh, queen takes e3. Move the king. And now, if the knight is taken, then we could regain it with rook fd1.
decided I'll counter-attack with rook b1. Now I played the move I've been looking at, bishop e7. This is still fine for black. This it's just a bit inaccurate. He developed his bishop king side or queen side, probably king side at this point. But on this move, I made my first I say, apart from missing wins, my first bad black blunder at the tournament. I played f6. But it's not actually a blunder. Well, it is this. I forgot that after he takes an f6 that I can't stop him. I can't take out the bishop, which I intended. And I thought I'd have a good position then. It's just a bit of an oversight. I should have played bishop d7. He did probably and then maybe something like rook d8, and I think I'm about equal in this position. I don't think white's really got anything, but he'll probably try and crush me. He's a bit of a hacker. I played f6, and now he just takes. And I have to take with the g pawn on the rook, and they're both bad. If I take with the rook, then I think queen e3 something. But anyway, you have to be very careful on f6 because it leaves e6 backward, and there's an outpost at e5 as well, can be. But I took the g pawn, and now my king's very weak, and he just castle queen side. Now I realise I'm probably going to get my first loss at the tournament here. I played b5, and he played bishop f3, preparing maybe Saxon d5 at some point to tear me apart. Now I played bishop b7, blundered. So he played queen e3, and now there's a dual threat to win e6 pawn, and this is pretty dire this. In fact, I horrifically fell apart with queen b6, but there's no defense, I don't think. But the best move is giving is queen c8, hitting e6, defending e6, but then he can just e6, so this is lost. But queen b6, just played b4, so I could have resigned but played rook a8 because I thought he has opened his king. But then he just played rook d1, I played rook c6, and then he just sacked on d5. And everything, all my pieces are just going to drop off and everything, so I just resigned, and a bad 19 lost here. So far, it's still an excellent tournament, 2 out of 4. Not played anyone lower than 187. Hopefully I can recover, and at least I might get some like a 140 in next round. Wrong. That is very wrong, that. I got a 189. How hard is this tournament? I'm 153 for God's sake. I've got a 187. A 193, a 201, a 196, now 189. Called Paul Robson, and also he plays the white. He plays the sniper. Well, I found out now because I went e4, he went g6, d4, now c5. I went c3, takes, and now d5. I don't know why, but this reminds me a bit of a c3 Sicilian one of the lines in it. And now you can either take on d5 or play e5. I think I didn't like the look of taking because you get an IQP. To say knight f6, knight c3, knight to d5, queen b3. This looks like a plan of Botvinnik to me by transposition. And in fact, just to confirm it, it actually is a c3 Sicilian in this game. It does transpose to 1. And it's actually a line which I used to play against it, although I never got a chance to, so I should have known it a bit better. Played knight c6, knight c3, now bishop g7, now played f4, which is a bad, which shows I didn't understand the position, because why hasn't got time to play f4? Black's piece development is too fast. You can't settle for that. You have to settle center. This 4 e5 spearhead. So I should have gone knight f3, and then after knight h6. I don't know, he's gone h3 and stopped bishop g4, takes f3 swap, which gets rid of d4 at some point, can do. There might be chances for edge there, but I played f4, which is just too slow, and he played knight h6. Just like he's going to come into f5. And now I played knight f3. I should have, have I got time for h3? I was wondering. No, because after knight f5 then there's also that as a threat. So I had to go knight f3 and he went bishop g4. I played bishop e2, now he just took and played e6. So I'd always given up the bishop. It's a block position, so my bishops aren't very good, and now he's also put all his pawns on light squares. And our black is already very comfortable. So I played bishop e3, then he played knight f5, bishop f2, and now queen b6, and it's given as equal, but at the time I thought I'm a bit stuffed here. Because he's threatening the d4 pawn 3 times, he's also hitting b2, which also protects my c3 knight, and he also has moves like f6. Moves like f6 coming up as well, just to undermine it further. Anyway, I had to think, of course, and played knight e2, which isn't the best way. I should have guaranteed the pawn. I should have actually just castled. And now, let's say he takes the b pawn. I go queen d3 with some good compensation with his queen out of play. If he takes the d pawn, then I actually just move my king out of the way to stop my bishop falling with check, and he's going to lose a piece, I think, at some point because of the pin. So I panicked unnecessarily and went knight e2. Took on b2, rook b1, he took on a2, and took on b7, and he played check. And now I've got a difficult decision. I either have to swap the queens off a pawn behind, or I have to lose castling rights. I decided being a hacker to lose castling rights. Castled, now at g4. Now back to e7 and queen b3. Another bad move because he just played rook a b8. I tried to get my king to safety, but he just took, queen takes, and I played rook b8. Now I started to realise that my tournament's going to completely fall apart. I've got that really good start, and now things are going wrong. The only worst square for queen is d7. Now he played queen d8, which is maybe a bit hasty trying to get the queens off. But anyway, I took, rook takes, and now I realised that I thought of one plan maybe to try and save the game. If I'll play fast moves and try and run his clock down. Because he has to, they say pawn shit, he's going to try and win in the game. He's quite weak as well. I played rook b1, seizing the open file. Played rook b8, and I decided I'll swap. Played knight c3, and I have got the bishop pair as compensation, and the queen side's open. So maybe if I try and open it up, then I can get a compensation for a pawn. And if I ever eliminate his a pawn, I'll blockade it successfully. It will be a draw because it's just gonna be a dead draw if I can blockade his a pawn. So we got it going. I played bishop d1, stopping it going any further. Knight a6, now knight b5, aiming to come into d6 as well as an outpost. Although my primary plan was just to get my bishops outside this blocked up pawn chain and try and win or blockade his a pawn. I was also playing this quite fast as well, and he was thinking as well of every move. Knight b4, knight d6, knight ec6, now bishop a4. Now he brings his king into the game, because as we know in the endgame, the king's the most important piece. I play king f3, bringing mine in. And now I think he should have gone f6 in this position, trying to undermine my knight. g5. And then f5 is just going to be a dead draw, so he has to take. Takes, king e7, king e3, and this should be a draw. So play king e7, king e3. F6, now I played f6, now I went the very good move g5. Took an e5, took back for the f pawn. King d7. Now it's ancient divided by says it's equal now with knight b7. Just aiming to come into c5, hitting the pawn. I defended quite well after losing that pawn in that disastrous opening. King d2, bishop f8. Recycling the bishop and threatening my knight, so I go back to b5. Bishop e7, h4, knight a6, king c3, check. Knight c7, draw offered. Now I thought at this point that he was offered the draw because I had 15 minutes to his and he had 5 minutes, so he probably thought I'm not going to win this game and I might lose on time if I try too hard, I'll blunder summit. And in fact he has blundered summit. White to play and win, easy, come and spot it. Yes, as well as missed the win over 201. I missed the win over 189 as well, so I actually have some quite bad luck in this tournament despite being really good. I used to immediately took the draw, not realising that 987 just wins on the piece on the spot, and he's 8 on the double drop as well, and nice be an easy win then. How did I miss that? But anyway, I did show some good doggy resistance after the bad opening, so I can be proud of that. So I wasn't too disappointed, and I was on. I actually had half points now, and actually, if I won my last game, there's actually stuff to play for in last round because I got a draw in this game. I was a point off the under 172 grading price, but one up getting the amount of points I had to play a CM, so there was a chance there. And also I was running for the under 21 British Magazine spot with Mitchell Burke and Stephen Jones, who were both half a point ahead of me. So I had to win last game, and it did get a little bit easier. Well, I got a 176, which is the easiest I've got in the tournament, but obviously still a lot higher than me, and I was black as well. And he also beat I Am Richard Pelser in round 1, so he's probably probably a lot higher. And anyway, I didn't get E4, I got C4. And I decided not to play the Leningrad. I actually decided to play the classical for some reason. I actually went E6. He went knight C3 and I went F5. D4. Knight F6. E3. Bishop E7. So I'm going to play I decided I actually decided to play the Stonewall I was thinking of doing, but I ended up putting a pawn on D6 for his next move. I thought I'll do the Stonewall, I'll set up solidly and see what happens from there. But he played actually F4, so he played like a Stonewall himself, but with the pawn on C4 instead of C3. And actually, because I needed to win, and double Stonewalls are very drawish, I played D6, just trying to break with E5 maybe at some point, and setting up a small pawn centre. He played knight F3, and now a general rule is in these positions that if white doesn't feed and show on G2, then you can feed and show yourself with B6 and bishop B7. So he played bishop D3. I played bishop B7. Instead of castling, he played B3. Aiming to finish out his other bishop. I put my knight into E4. Now he played bishop B2. Now I played knight D7, just aiming to come into F6 and support the knight. So I took it before I could do, and I took with the F pawn, which does give me double pawns, but it does hit his knight, which went back to D2. Now I play knight F6, and this is about equal this. I don't think white's got anything from this opening. But this guy, despite playing 1c4, is a hacker, and in fact he had a very aggressive plan. He played queen e2. His intention is to castle queenside, and in fact it looks, although the entrance skin is one of the best moves, it does look very unsafe to castle kingside. Let's have a look. Castles. I thought, no, I'm just going to get these pawns thrown at me. I did see where my counterplay was coming from. So say castles queenside. C5. I thought, can you just ignore that and go G4? But then again, we got CD, ED, and now D5. Sorry, coughing by the way. It's in my throat, I think. And some dangerous counterplay perhaps ahead there. Alright, D5, hitting him in the centre. Castle's long, and now I decided I'll bottle kingside castle and try and go queenside myself and play queen D7. And Engine's actually giving black a slight advantage here. He played king B1, the consolidating move, and now I played A5, which looks a little bit rash. Weakening B5 like that. Should have just castled queenside. I have to say rook C1. Just move my king off that file. With G4. H6. Rook HF1, and then trying to combat kingside myself with G5 looks quite interesting. I'm starting to tire a bit now in this video, it's a bit long. A5, trying to hack him up. He played G4. I castled queenside, and I played rook C1. Just aiming for a C5 breakthrough. Knight E8. A passive move. Just trying to recycle the knight to like D6 or something. He played knight A4. I moved my king to B8. Now he played C5. which isn't very good because I just went b5, knight c3, and then c6, which blocks the queen side up and makes it harder for me to be hacked. But then again, I did need to win, and this is getting a bit blocked up for my liking, and plus he has good chances of opening a second front up on the king side, where he's got more space, because he played rook cg1, I played knight c7, h4, you can tell he's going to try and open the king side up, so I went rook hf8, queen to g2, so everything's just going to be aimed at the king side, and I thought there's not much I can do there, so I'll try and get something going on queen side, so at least I'm not going to get hacked now. I played knight a6, trying to aim for the b4 square and then the d3 square. So we played a good move, a3, stopping me coming to d3 via b4. And now I played... The move I played now, it's actually not given as that bad. It's actually given as equal and even the best move. But I thought it's the most awful move ever. But it's actually given as a good move. I just thought, I played b4 and I thought that's just awful when I played it. You just do this. And then what do? So why is this given as a good move? Knight a4, b takes, bishop takes, and now king a7. How's this good for black though? Well, knight b6, I move my queen, now knight f1. And now he's just gonna, now his plan now is, I realised I was in big trouble here, even though it's given as equal. You see, that's the plan, there's not much I can do to stop it. Except, well, I should have played knight b8. Queen moves, and then knight d7, it takes an a5, very dangerous this, bishop a6, and I do actually win a pawn, I think, it was bishop b4, so queen b7 or something, and this doesn't look too great, to be honest, but in that, he's been playing very slowly. I remember when he beat Penalty, around seconds left when he beat him, and he was probably only had about 5 more minutes left, if that. Well, I still had quite a few. I decided on a most completely Nathan Gittin style random pawn sack ever with e5. Just trying to get him something to think about, because I thought he hasn't got much time, but in this position it's so comfortable and easy to play that he's not going to need much time to beat me. If I go e5, I'll get him thinking a bit. And because it does at least guarantee the opening of the f file for my rook, because he can't take with the other pawn because I win c5 and his knight will fall. So you have to take the f pawn, and I went rook f3. And the conversation is like nothing, and white's just really pawn up, but just trying to get him something to think about. And plus as well, I realised I did have the bishop pair, so it would be nice to like open it up a bit as well. And then of course he starts to make substandard moves. Like the best move is just simply to play g5, ignore the rook. But he plays rook h3 trying to challenge it, and I then just played rook f8 instantly, making him think again. He played rook takes f3, rook takes f3. Maybe g takes f3 was better, e takes f3 is better, trying to create a pass pawn. Now g5, so he spots the good move, but I've got a bit of compensation now. I played bishop c8, however, which is a bad move, but it does work out quite well. Should have played actually bishop d8, just trying to undermine his knight. I move the queen and take his knight. But queen d2, and now I'm in trouble again. I'm dropping a5 like nothing. I played a4, horrific move. Just trying to like stop his queen coming to a5, but just took knight takes a4. I played queen b7. Knight just came back to b6. Starting queen takes b3 check. Bishop d8. Now I think white's winning. Now we should have just played knight h2 to keep my rook, but he was down to a few minutes, a couple of 3 minutes now, and played queen a5. And in fact now there's a move to get. I got back to the game with the very strong bishop h3, and now the game's actually becomes really double-edged and sharp. And the fun certainly isn't over, because there's practically nothing white can do then to stop losing the pawn. Because I'm threatening bishop takes f1 and rook takes c3, and the thing is like little it can do about it, and trying to find a way to stop it drained even more time. I had about 2 minutes left at this point, and I had about 7 or 8. But I played about 10 actually. The only move actually to keep an advantage as well, which you're not going to really see unless you're like 200 plus with this little tile, with this queen e1. In fact, that just hangs on to everything. I had to play bishop takes f1, get rid of my bad bishop. Rook takes f1, bishop takes, c takes, queen takes,
king c2, and in fact now it has slipped to equal after queen b. Oops, not that, of course. Now it's equal. If after rook takes f3, check. Although it's equal, you won't want to play this with white in time pressure, that's for sure. The best is just to sack b3 with that. That might be good to analyse yourself, because we both had a little time. But we played knight d2, and now I snapped e3 off. Played king c2. Now he must have a minute left now. So I played rook d3. He played bishop b4, he's moving instantly, and now he had that little time left, which just allows me to snap d4 off, so now I'm winning. He played bishop c3, I just went back to d3. Now he desperately, of course, when you have a little time, you usually play very aggressively. Of course, it's not the best, and played rook a1. And I have to be careful, maybe any potential sacks in a6 at some point. I don't know why. He's got the vision to that. So now, the best move was just play bishop f5, and then push this pawn up the board, and then I'm threatening discovery. I'm threatening e3 immediately, and there's little what I can do, and he can't get enough counterplay on my king to compensate. But I actually played an incredible blunder with d4. Well, it's not actually. Sorry, no, it's not a blunder yet. Sorry, get mixed up. But he could just have played knight takes. He could play knight takes e4. And the best move is rook takes c3. Well, his knight's going into d6. Knight takes, then check. Takes with check. Takes. All this happens. And we have an equal end game where it's a rook and pawn versus bishop and knight, and this should be a draw. This, but we played bishop b2, and now I played e3, an absolutely astonishing blunder. And I still have a good 5 minutes left at least at this point, but I was playing quite quickly because of his time pressure. And this is just, it just hangs a rook, which but he's that short of time, he actually misses that hung a rook, and just went knight dc4 because he's trying to hack me up by playing knight d6. Now I have to play bishop f5. I have to, and it's about equal. I went bishop e6, attacking his knight. Now the thing is, not only not stop knight d6, but I also allow him he can just take my rook, and it's +10 according to my mental system. Completely allows the rook behind for nothing. But he's completely missed because he was that short of time. So he just went knight d6, and now I went rook d2 check, and now of course I saw this one as well. I actually saw this one. He could just gone queen takes d2, e takes, knight takes, king takes. Now he just took my d4 pawn, and he's exchanging a pawn up, and my e pawn's fallen as well. But he went king b1, and now it's gone from it's -5, and now it's just completely winning for black because these connected passed pawns are going to win material after everything comes off, which it did. He went check because he had that little time. Like, he's down to about 30. He's down to about 20 seconds now, and of course he just thought he probably just missed my bishop's protecting it, so it took, and then went e2, and now he's dead. He went king a2. I went rook d1. He has to take on d4 to stop me queen in, so I took back. Went rook e1. I went rook e4, and he had about 20 seconds left, and he's also he'd resign anyway. I think he had more time because I'm just like a pawn and a piece up. I'm gonna be, and I'm gonna queen that pawn eventually, and there's nothing he can do. And I still had about 3 minutes left. So anyway, that was a very lucky game. That a very exciting game as well. And what a tournament this was like. This is the best I've ever played by a mile. I got 3.5 out of 6 in the Open. My tournament performance grade was nearly 200. It was like 198 or something. Apart from that bad loss to Miroslav, I quitted myself very good against these very strong players. And if I could play like this more often, I would be a very strong player. But I hope you enjoyed me going through this tournament. And sorry if the video was too long for you. But I hope you learned something as well. And don't forget my round 2 game is a video response, and please subscribe to the channel, like the video, favourite it, share it if you really like it, and please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.